Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mastering Local Marketing, episode 163. Do you have a small or medium-sized business? We'll give you practical tips. I'm out in the field. Matt's out in the field, but Matt also comes from the academic side, and he's been teaching digital marketing since before it really even had a term. So he's about as there's a reason that people are coming to this podcast. You know, we talk together. Once in a while, we take a guest. If you're interested in becoming a guest, you would just email our producer and head of the WJOB Podcast Network, Adriana, with 2 N's, at WJOB1230.com. Hey, pause for a second, okay? What if the biggest thing holding your business back is not your competition or your budget or the economy? What if it is something happening inside the business that you have stopped noticing? Everybody, if you're listening to this, you're like, all right, I got my own little area, whether you're part of a company or you have your own one-person machine shop, whatever it might be, you got a story that you tell yourself about your business. And you got to watch that story. And here to give us some guidelines on looking at your own story is Matt Hansen. Talk about the story that we all tell ourselves. And you're always like, these are all subtle rips on he's trying to guide me in the right direction. So I know what this already comes to about the story you tell yourself. What do you see out there? What do you want? What do you want people to know about the bad stories that you've seen?
I think you need to look in the mirror. Is all I can say, right? So we did the podcast last week, and you said something to me, and you're like, I forget what you said exactly, but like motivation, moving forward, just going. It was something along those lines.
Churn,
right?
Everything's churning all the time.
Yeah,
and I know where this is going because it's a great time to do it, actually.
Yeah. So I was laughing, and I'm like, okay. So I went home after the last one. And
I knew it.
And I was like, all right. I got you. I see this. And it was funny. I started saying no to things. I started like cleaning house. I started looking at things and going, why have I not finished this project? I'm like, it's because it's on me. It's on me. I haven't finished this project because it's me. And how many times have we looked at that? And, like, I'm going through my clients, I'm going through some of my best friends, and we all do it. And we all have those things that we want to do, but we're all in our safety mode. We all just like, oh, well, we'll get to that eventually. And we're all, we are the problem. Let's be honest. And once you realize that you are the one that's causing some of those problems, and I'm pointing the direction right at me, the finger's right at me, that's why, right? So it was funny, the amount of things that I got done this past week, just from that one little comment you made to me, threw me overboard. And I'm just like, all right, forget you, Jim. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And it wasn't personal. It was just that you were the torch that lit, the gas.
I can't remember.
Forget
Give
what
me
you
an
said.
idea. I mean, obviously, I think I'm doing 5 podcasts today.
Yeah.
Maybe 6. So, I'm going to forget. But, I mean, I'm going to guess at what the comment was is I think I have, you bring these things out, and they're subtle criticisms, positive criticisms of what I'm doing, and
it's not targeting you.
No, it's not. But we use me as an example. And to be honest with you guys, doing this podcast, we're on 163 here, has completely changed my business, because it's like I sit down every week and I have a business coach, a business reviewer on a regular basis, and a business reviewer on the operations side and on the marketing side. So I bring out stuff that I've learned through doing this podcast. But one of those is that I was telling myself a false narrative. Mm-hmm. And I think you push this way. I mean, right now, look at Adriana in the middle here. She's like, I got 4 contracts in there you need to do. I'm the bottleneck.
Yeah.
And I would not admit that until I quit doing my morning show 61 days ago, which, after 22 years, it kind of adds up. That was my identity. But you were like, dude, what are you going to be? You're going to be a coach, or you're going to be a player? But if you're going to be the player coach, you can't expect any different results. I have walked away from it and realized that the story I was telling myself was completely fallacy. And I just wonder how many business people will not step back and look at what their role is and what their story is, especially those that have built up a good business from nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you see this.
So I saw it this week. One of my largest clients, we sit down weekly to have strategy meetings. And the rest of the team, we were waiting for the CEO to come in, and the rest of the team was just like, okay, well, we got to get this done, and we got to get this done, we got to get this done, but we're waiting for the CEO to approve these things. So they're like, we need a system to kind of get that under control. And they said, can we use you? And I said, oh, absolutely, you can use me, because I will get it going through fast. I said, if I got to go out there and I got to take his tires off of his car to sit him down to get these things done, that's what we'll do. They all started laughing. So when he walked into the meeting, I said, do you have a tire nut lock on your tires of your car? And he goes, no, why? And I go, just for, we just wanted to know. They all started laughing, but we let him in later. As the meeting went on, we were talking about the bottleneck and the fact that he needs to let go of things and that he needs to focus on the direction of where things are going and less about the day-to-day operations. So, if it's an email that's going out, he does not need to be the person involved in who's on the contact list and who's, what does the image say and what does the text say in there and where does that button link to and what's the color of the button and does it coordinate with the brand guidelines? It doesn't need to know all of that. You need to go run the business, and that's why you're hiring these people around you. And it was just funny that it was really timely because of kind of what we talked about last week and what I was doing and all that other fun stuff. So, but like 98% of what happens in that company has to go through him, and he's quickly realizing that that's got to change as the growth has happened. And that's what most companies happen, right? Like, so you start and you can kind of oversee all of that, but as you get bigger, you can't do that. Like, you can't be everywhere at once. You can't control everything. You got to let go, and you got to hire trusted, people that you trust for those positions so that you can know that things are getting done appropriately.
So you brought up a term that is really big right now. I don't know if you know who Jay Shetty is. He does a podcast. I forget what it's called, but I listen to it, and he coaches you through life decisions. Same thing with Cal Newport. And both of them are big on this term, which is letting go. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to this in Kansas and you got a small business, small to medium-sized business, you may have built that up. And every little thing right around the corner. My buddy has Hammond Machine Works, and he has talked to me about this. He goes, man, I know how to operate every one of those machines. My dad made me do it. I know how to sell. I know how to do the accounting. I know how to there's nothing about this business I don't know. And he told me one time, he goes, that's a problem. He goes, you think that's an advantage that everybody's job. And he's like, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're not doing it right. I'll just edit this thing. And or I'll go in and maybe just take a little millimeter off of this machine thing that they're putting out. And he's like, man, I cannot do that. So I'm playing golf with you right now in the effort to let go. We're talking directly to people that cannot let go of certain topics or tasks in their organization. What do you tell them?
You're creating your own chaos. That's really what it comes down to. So people that try to hold on to everything will never hold on to anything. And I've seen this not only in my own life, but in a variety of people that I've worked with through the years, is they try to be everything. They want complete control. And I'm going to go back to my original first boss, and I'm not going to name any names, but she held on to every single decision. So Monday morning meetings, we'd walk in, there had to be 15 of us around this conference room table, and we had to go from person to person to person. And she would basically tell you, well, do it this way, do that, do this. And she wanted to know everything, which is great. I understand you wanted to know it all, but it was constant change this, do this, just let us do our job. We're doing a good job. Let us get through. Like, you've got to just walk away. And she was miserable in those meetings because she was constantly angry at what was going on. And it was not a good look. Other people, like my second boss, same industry, just gave me a runway, gave everyone a runway, and just said, what do you think about this? And would just let me go. And most relaxed individual I've ever met. He'd get frustrated with some people from time to time, but completely would just relax, would let you be. And we did more in a short time frame with him letting us just do what we needed to do than we ever got accomplished at that first job.
What's a runway?
Runway, like, let me take off, right? So let me get this business to where it needs to be. So you're holding me in a hangar. You're controlling. You're still critiquing the airplane. You're like, oh, well, that wing doesn't quite look right. Oh, that paint job isn't quite perfect. Oh, we could probably put 1 or 2 more seats in there. What for? Let's go. Let's get the plane off the ground. Let's start making some money. Let's do what we're here to do. I mean, if we're making money, that's the goal. It's not to put 1 more seat in the plane. So get me out of the hangar, put me on the runway, and let me take off, and let your team do it. It's like anyone that owns any of these, private jet firms and all this other stuff, they're not up there flying the planes. They're sitting at a desk controlling the business. They're letting the pilots fly the planes, right? So just let people have their own runway. Let them take off. Let them do what they're there to do, and relinquish some of that control. And it's hard. I get it, because you're like, well, they're not going to do it the right way. Okay, well, then you give them a lesson as to how to do it the right way, your way, and let them figure out their way to do it while taking the same influence from you. But I have relinquished so much control in a lot of the stuff that I do that I bought back free time that I can then go out there and find more clients, more work, more whatever I want to do. Or if I just want to go sit on the boat, I can go sit on the boat. But that's if you don't let go, you will bury yourself in your business. And that's the hardest thing. So, when we say about holding you back, put the mirror up, look in the mirror and go, where am I holding up my team? Where am I holding up my business? Because if you can identify those things, there are some things that I've done in the last 2 years that have bought me hours and hours and hours of time every single month, because I've put the right people in place. I don't have to deal with the headaches. The things that used to keep me up at night are gone because other people are dealing with it. And it's such a great feel. I remember literally, and a lot of you probably sitting out there do this today. Like, you're up at 3:00 in the morning and your mind is racing because you cannot figure out how to get these things off your plate and all this other stuff. And I've been there. And I remember there were times where I would not sleep for 2 weeks. And I said, why am I doing this? I can pay somebody to do all of this stuff and take all these problems away. And that's what their job is. That's what their company does. Why am I doing this? And it took me a little bit of time, but I did it. And now I'm just oh my, whatever. I will pay you double if I have to, because this is so much greater to not have to deal with it. I'm getting sleep. I'm going to bed at a decent time. I don't have to worry about it. So that's what I mean. Stand in front of the mirror and go, what am I holding my team up from doing? And rip yourself out of it.
Just as an aside, I called Matt a couple days ago. I'm like, what are you doing? I heard a clank, clank. I asked him a question. I mean, you don't have this. I basically have, free marketing consultation, but you're like, oh, I'm fixing a shower at the lake house. And I'm like, you're what? I'm like, can't you hire someone to do that or whatever? And I realized that's kind of what you want to be doing, hanging around your lake house, yeah, putzing around, and that your digital marketing company, you're letting the people run it. You're not teaching right now. We sit for recording a podcast once a week. And I'm like, I get off the phone, I go, I wonder if there's a lesson in that. What would I be doing if I didn't have to think about the next thing.
Yeah.
And I already know what, the 2 or 3 things would be, but it really was like, he's like, oh yeah, the shower here, it doesn't always work and this and that. And I'm like, I know. I mean, you could get a plumber out there, it'd be a couple $100,
Right.
fix the line, the threading on the pipe is what it sounded like. And, but you didn't. Was that something that you don't want to let go and you're bottlenecking, or is that just something you like to putz with?
No, I mean, I call plumbers when I can't fix it. Like if it's something major, I'll call them out. But, we're talking about a shower cartridge that all you got to do is pop the handle off, pull the cartridge out, put another one in. And
Thread the pipe, maybe.
You didn't even have to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
So
you didn't? Okay.
no. So it's stuff like that is not worth calling a plumber for. I can do that in 2 seconds. I think the hardest part was finding the cartridge at like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. But yeah, no, like I enjoy tinkering, as you know, and something like that is fine. I mean, I've done worse, but like, the last episode we talked about a sewer line. Like, I'm not going to rip out a sewer line. I'm going to call a plumber. You guys are going to do that. Like, that's not even. I've ripped out sewer lines when I couldn't afford to pay people, and I'm not doing that anymore. So, no, thank you.
Let's talk a couple of specific things. You have here fear versus preparation. I don't know what that means.
So I see this all the time. So fear disguised as preparation, right? And people will say, oh, I need more research. I need to do more marketing. I need to do more. I'm like, okay, we just got done talking about in the last episode about, sales and buying signals and all that. Fear disguised as preparation is people that will continue to do. Well, I'm gonna build another catalog. I'm gonna build another sales sheet. I'm gonna build another email drip campaign that when somebody signs up, it'll be there. And I go to them, I go, "Are you selling now?" Well, no. Well, what are you building all this for? When they finally come? Well, yeah. We just want to be prepared. I'm like, wouldn't you rather have dollars coming in the door? Well, yeah, but what are we doing here? Right? What are we doing? Or I've had plenty of conversations where people are like, oh, I got to get more information on it. More information on what? Well, I want to do a little bit more research. What are we researching? Well, I just don't want to make a mistake. Why wouldn't you want to make a mistake?
You finally did the key phrase.
Right? Why wouldn't you want to make a mistake? I'm like, no, I don't want to make a mistake. I'm like, man, you know how many wonderful lessons in life I've learned from making mistakes? That's the only way to learn. It's the only way to get out there and actually do it. Make a mistake and learn from it. Go, well, I'm not doing that again. That was stupid. But, most people will not push, not go that far. And I get it. It's a personality, but you've got to push through it. You just got to go, well, we talked about the runway earlier. Just get it up in the air, right? One of my famous things that I talk about all the time at the university is, let's get this airplane 50,000 feet in the air. And they're like, what? I go, let's get it up. Ask any man out there. They'll tell you we can land it at some point. We'll figure it out, right? I don't know why men think we can all land airplanes, but we do. But, let's get it. She's laughing over there, right? But let's get this thing 50,000 feet in the air and we'll figure it out as we go. We got time until we crash. Right.
So she's taken the class and has heard this already.
She probably has through the grapevine, yeah.
So let's move on. The theme is what's really holding your business back? Fear disguised as preparation. You know what? Now I get it. I didn't quite, get what the outline is, but here's another one that a lot of people that have especially built their business up, and you may be that person listening, is you're always trying to protect what already works. Mm-hmm. And, you're managing your risk at that point, and maybe you're managing it too tightly.
Yeah, I don't want to rock the boat too much. I'll lose what I have. And human beings we do not like to lose things, right? So if you walk up to somebody and you say, hey, here's $100. They're like, oh, sweet, great. And you basically say, okay, you get your $100, but you throw $100 in the pot, and if we're going to roll this, these dice, and if you lose, I take your 100 and the 100 I gave you back. If you win, you take the 200. And they're going to be like, oh, absolutely not, right? Like, no, because we're risk averse, right? So people don't want to risk what they already have that's working, but that is a limitation. It's not allowing you to grow because at some point you kind of stop growing. And if you don't want to, if you have these aspirations to grow to a $10 million business and you're bringing in $300,000 a year right now, and you're doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, you're never going to get to where you want to be. You've got to think bigger. You've got to like 10x where you're going. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that, right? Like, are you willing to change things, to let things go, to put more money in, to put more energy in? And, quite honestly, some people are just kind of like, okay. One of my buddies, he owns a business, and I keep telling him, like, you need salespeople. And he's like, yeah, I know. I just can't afford to buy, get a bunch of these salespeople. And I said, okay, well, then you got to figure out a solution, because like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to grow to? What's the revenue number? Where do you want to go? And, that's an interesting conversation, because everyone's always going to say, well, I want to be huge. I want to be this, but why aren't you putting in the effort to do it? And it's, again, looking in the mirror and going, as much as I want to say, dang it, right? I'll say it that way. It's me. I'm the reason that I'm not putting in 60 hours this week. I'm putting in 10 hours this week. I'm not putting in significant dollars into our marketing because I'm scared I'm going to lose what I'm already putting in there. And I see that all the time. Like, well, I put $1,000 in. Okay, well, put 10 in. What's that going to do? Oh, I could never put that much money. What if I lost it? Yeah. What if you lost it? What if it doesn't? What if you don't lose it? What if you know your numbers so well that you're actually getting a 2 times ROI on your money and you're putting 10 grand in? What do you think is going to happen to your business? So it's an understanding of what's going on, and just human beings hate to risk things. So we take what we have and we're like, okay, this is good, but I'm not willing to risk it.
This is episode 163 of Mastering Local Marketing. What is really holding your business back? Certainly we start and kind of end with the story that you tell yourself. People don't want to recognize maybe they're the bottleneck. Maybe they don't, managing risk is basically what business is all about at some level. And maybe you're too risk averse and you don't want to try new things, especially in the time of AI coming on and onboarding right now. But we have a bunch of other things that you could tell yourself, and what is the story that you tell yourself. So I'm going to make an executive decision. This is episode 163. The next one will be episode 164. We will continue this one, and we'll talk about the story that you're telling yourself as the head of your marketing department or as the head of your company. And maybe you can adjust that story. Does that work with you?
That works for me.
All right. Adriana Alvarez is our producer and the head of the WJOB Podcast Network. If you'd like your own podcast, Adriana, 2 N's, at WJOB1230.com. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Matt. But mostly thanks to you for listening or watching. And until next time, see you later.